Hey guys, Gamel here with another reading of Rainbow Dash's Shipping Goggles. And the next chapter is called Fate. Emergency freely disguises? Check. Smoke bombs? Check. Shiny gems? Check. Camera? Check. Life-size Wonderbolt plush? What? Check. Game plan. Wait, what? Rainbow Dash life-size Wonderbolt plush. What would you need that for? Rainbow Dash stopped pacing in the middle of the cleared floor, checklist in hoof to gawk at Pinky as she blushed and tried to stuff her Spitfire doll back under the bed. Her jaw opened to speak, but a cautious hoof reached up and closed it without another word. I'm not even going to ask. Tossing the checklist to the side, Rainbow Dash picked up a folded disguise from the floor. Ugh, dresses. Rainbow Dash gagged as she picked up her choice. Pinkie Pie's emergency disguise was modeled after Rarity's casual wear, a blue bonnet with a floral design and hot pink summer dress. Lifting the dress to examine it made Rainbow Dash blush as she took in the skirt's length. This is really short. She shook her head and took a deep breath, resisting the building heat of frustration. Sacrifices have to be made. 20 minutes later, Rainbow Dash grit her teeth. Once again, she tried to stretch her wings to cover her cutie mark as the occasional glance at her short skirt grated at dry throat. Grated on her last nerve. The colors were nice, and the multicolored frills matched her mane, but it wasn't her style, not at all. Fortunately, few ponies recognized her thanks to the bonnet hiding all but a red lock of her signature mane. Her tail was the obvious giveaway, but the tacky outfit deflected any curious gazes. At least she got to wear her cherished sunglasses. That they served to conceal her further was just an added bonus. Shifting her anxious hooves, her pent-up energy begged to be released. Rainbow Dash waited and waited for Pinkie Pie's to I haven't seen that word in so long, I've forgotten how to say it. Anyway, nothing interesting was happening so far as she could tell while waiting by the stone water fountain, blowing the stray lock of hair out of her eyelashes. Rainbow Dash leaned her shoulders against the cold stone and watched the passing crowd. Derpy, now on her afternoon run, was dragging along a thundercloud for delivery. Not even gonna ask. Flying a few heads above the grounded residents, the boggled mailmare drenched the innocent public in stray rainfall and parodied static electricity on those she passed over. Rainbow Dash couldn't help but giggle when Snips and Snail's horns acted as lightning rods. Nice. No major injuries, of course, allowing Rainbow Dash to snap picture of that singed and now naked pink coats on the sly. Scoots is going to love that one, she thought as she watched Derpy apologize and explain that she was late heading to the outskirts of town and had no time to rain on the Colt's naked parade. Watching the Colts run away brought a smirk to her face, but time was still of the essence. Rainbow Dash checked her watch, bored once again. For some pony that could keep up with the fastest Pegasus in Equestria, even to the mountainside, for some reason, Pinkie Pie could take a while getting ready. Well, she's a girl, Rainbow Dash thought. Girls take forever to get ready, right? She chuckled and checked her watch. Then it hit her. Her eyes snapped wide open. Wait, I'm a girl! Am I taking too fast to get ready? I don't do makeup like Rarity. That's Philly's business. But am I doing it wrong? Is that why Cloud Chaser doesn't like me? She looked down at her dress and then to her skirt. She sighed. Yeah, no. Speed over frills any day, bud. Who are you talking to, Dashy? No, pony, just my... Wait, Pinky? Rainbow Dash shook her head as a pink filled her vision. She backed away and blinked to take a proper look at her disguised friend. Black tuxedo, pants, red bow tie, fake mustache, and the top hat, the height of Spike, gave Pinkie Pie's appearance of a villain. Rainbow Dash snorted, her wings fluttering at her sides and messing with her frills. Of course she'd make me dress like Rarity and then dress like some old film villain she thought was a Grimps. Images of being helpless tied to a railroad tracks flashed through her mind, forcing her to shake her head clear. Why are you blushing, Dashy? Pinkie Pie asked, dropping her voice an octave. Rainbow Dash shot her wide-eyed stare. What? Pinkie Pie said, staring back. Her eyes flickered to Rainbow Dash's dress, then to her Rainbow Dash's dress, then to her eyes. An empathetic sparkle burst in her eyes. She pounded her chest, coughed in her other hoof, smacked her lips, and said, "Sorry about that. Was the font too much?" Rainbow Dash stared, jaw hanging down, and slowly nodded. Freaking fourth wall breaking all up in this. Okie dokie Loki! Pinkie Pie cheered as she began bouncing down the city street with Rainbow Dash in tow, attracting the stares of a few curious passers-by. Curious as and wondering why Professor Sinister was escorting an incognito mayor of mystery, Rainbow Dash rolled her eyes and scrolled along. "So let me get the plan straight one last time," Pinkie Pie said, as they turned the corner past Sugar Cube Corner. "We're dressed up to spy on Rarity through her window, so if anybody sees us, they don't know our names immediately, so they won't say anything. And Rarity won't know we're here. If anybody stops us, we'll just tell them we're pulling a prank on Rarity and force them to stay quiet, one way or another." Pinkie Pie paused to rub her hooves together and twirl her mustache. "Right, and then we're going to sneak into Carousel Boutique as soon as we learn each and every one of her habits. Like the one thing she does with her eyes whenever Applejack touches a dress, or that one time Twilight had a oopsie when practicing her magic on gemstones and Spike puked on her new shoes. And then we slip whoopee cushions in her drama couch and enter dramatically and say we're the fashion police, here to stop a crime against fashion." Rainbow Dash sighed and wiped her forehead. "Yeah, that. Pinkie tackled Rainbow Dash and drove into a nearby bush, holding a hoof over Rainbow Dash's muzzle. She lifted the other to her own mouth. "Shh." Rainbow Dash raised an eyebrow, but ceased to struggle. They just hid in the bush to give her more room to stand. Then they peeked out of the bush in the nearest window, the boutique window. Inside was their target, Rarity. There she was, Ponyville's fashionable mare of fabulosity, sewing clothes of fashion to become fabulous for all to wear. That's a lot of fabulous. Her trusty assistant, Spike, followed her and carried piles of fabric as she examined her mannequins. Rarity ordered him about, oblivious to his Herculean patience. Spike obeyed her every word, quietly penning for her. To Rainbow Dash, it stirred something warm in her chest as she leaned on the windowsill and sighed. When will he confess already? She thought to herself, scratching behind her ear with a hoof. Whatever. We're gonna have to get him out of the way. We wouldn't want to have collateral damage or something. Oh, are we gonna have a pillow fight? And you don't want Spike to get a nose bit? Hold up, let's try that again. Oh, are we gonna have a pillow fight and do... Are we gonna have a pillow fight and you don't want to get Spike to get a nose bit? Pinkie! Sorry. Rainbow Dash hummed as she stroked her chin. Pinkie Pie quietly fondling her mustache beside her. Something buzzed at the back of her mind, a nagging urge to satisfy her curiosity. She reached into her dress, chest folds, and pulled out her hidden goggles, secretly strapped around her neck, and brought the lens to her eyes. Her vision, despite the clear sight presented by the enchanted goggles, flashed pink as the magic took hold. Ribbons, 2 velvety ribbons. What? Oh, is that right? Ribbons, 2 velvety ribbons floated inside the boutique. I guess it is. Frayed and tattered, one was noticeably smaller, about half the size of the other. Ironically enough, or as Rainbow Dash thought, the smaller one belonged none other than the charmer herself. Rainbow Dash cocked her head and watched the ribbon's bizarre behavior. Spike's ribbon twirled around Rarity's, only to be slapped away. Then Rarity's ribbon would approach the Spike's, only to dart away whenever it felt trapped by the larger entity. All this repeated in a pattern, as if the 2 invisible ponies were twirling batons in a synchronized virtual dance. Okay, so what I'm getting is Rarity's just playing at Spike's emotions. Like any other woman would. Rainbow Dash shook her head and dropped the goggles inside the dress. She nudged Pinkie Pie, still absorbed with her mustache twirling, and the two dropped away from the windowsill to enter the boutique. Knock, knock. Rainbow Dash pounded the door and waited. Pinkie Pie nudged her shoulder. So, did you memorize her in each and every move? I was too busy playing with Mr. Mustache, and I forgot. She said, her ears dropping as she frowned. Did you? The door swung open just before Rainbow Dash muttered, yeah. Rarity stood at the door, raising her full legs and beckoning them in with a smile. "Come in, darlings. Carousel Boutique is open to all, no matter your..." She lifted her chin and leered at the entire judging taste. Pinkie Pie tapped her hat before Rainbow Dash could intervene. "Why, thank you, madam. May we... Oh! May we enter your premises to bestow our wonder among your bejeweled and renowned wares, so we may know the almighty beauty that is fair Rarity?" "Of course!" Rarity giggled, holding her hoof to her mouth. "You're always welcome here, Pinkie Pie. I have a new... Disguise fail. I have a new order to fill, and you're just the girl to help. Come in." She fired up her horn and pushed the two inside her boutique, slamming the door behind them. Rainbow Dash quietly fumed about the pointlessness of their disguises. Spike approached a large stack of uncut fabric, still in his arms. A sapphire hue glowed around the fabric and lifted it away, giving him a chance to rub the knots out of his shoulders. Rarity smiled down at her little helper and knelt down to eye level. "Thank you so much, Spiky Wikey, but Pinkie Pie is here, thank goodness, and I need her to model for me. You should take a well-deserved break. Go take any gym of your liking and get some rest. You've earned it." She leaned forward and pecked his cheek. Spike blushed as his pupil dilated and sparkled. He brought his claws to his chin and squeaked before scurrying off, only stopping at her chest the gems to grab a shining diamond, then returning to his path outside. He stopped by to greet Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie with a salute on his way, and slammed the door shut in his continued frenzied rush. The three mares exchanged glances, but no other word about it was said. Rarity got to work, stripping Pinkie Pie of her clothes with magic and examining her figure with measuring tapes. She circled around Pinkie Pie as Rainbow Dash stepped away and reached for her goggles. Excellent, Rarity said as she set aside her measuring tape and lifted a folded piece of green fabric. She unfurled it, revealing a plain green dress, and slipped it on Pinkie Pie. "Perfect. This base will fit her just nicely. All I need is the white fabric, and we'll have the perfect How about now, Dashie? Can we do it now? Now?" Pinkie Pie chattered, vibrating in her dress as Rarity scrolled to stitch the back and flank area. Rainbow Dash moved to signal or give a cryptic answer, but Rarity beat her to the punch. "Do you have to be trying to prank me, darling?" Rarity mused as dug her needle. Oh my god. Rarity mused as dug her needle into Pinkie Pie's dress rather forcefully, causing Pinkie Pie to wince. A poke wasn't enough to hurt, but enough to get the point across. "I sure hope you don't plan on continuing this fruitless endeavor. I wouldn't want any bad blood between us," she said, puncturing each word with a cheeky prod of the needle on Pinkie's flank. "That's horrible!" "I don't want any bad blood between us." She's just like, "Rarity?" "Yes, Pinkie?" "Please don't hurt me." Anyway, back to the reading. "Perfect, now's my chance." Rainbow Dash smirked as she lifted the goggles from her chest and flipped them onto her eyes. The pleather scrap gave her no difficulty this time. Instead, yielding to her efforts and wrapping snug on her head, her vision flashed scarlet again before returning, as the glass weren't there. She strolled up beside Pinkie, whistling nonchalantly, and rested off with Rarity glaring at her. Patting Pinkie Pie on the back, she grinned at Rarity. Rainbow Dash felt for the ribbon's fabric and held on with her hoof. "Rainbow Dash, do you have anything you'd like to say?" Rarity asked, raising the needle with a daring glare. She's gonna stab him! "Or would you like me to adjust that horrid rag you call a dress?" "Nope," Rainbow Dash answered, honey on her tongue. "I just wanted to thank you for the wrapped present you left Pinkie Pie in the kitchen." She smiled at Rarity, looked at her with a frown. Rarity clicked her tongue. "I don't remember." "Present!" Pinkie Pie shouted as she dashed away free from Rarity's needle. Before she could let the confusion settle, Rainbow Dash set to work. The ribbon she grabbed before Pinkie dashed away was sliding in her hoof, but grabbing it with her teeth stopped it. The velvety script grew tight, and Pinkie Pie bounced back like a tetherball. Rarity's eyes widened as she watched what happened to be Pinkie Pie being thrown across the room by an unknown force. Rainbow Dash casually trotted to Rarity's side. Her teeth clenched to hold the invisible rope and hugged her close. Rarity's eyes twitched, but she gave no resistance. Rainbow Dash grabbed the small ribbon from Rarity's choice, coaxing the unresponsive velvet with a hoof, and brought the two ribbons together. Quickly, before they could react, she tied it in a knot. Best prank ever. I really wouldn't call this a prank. I call this messing with the fates. Honestly, I do. The smirk was wiped off of her face. Okay, the smirk was wiped of her face. Not off, but of her face, in a single white flash. Or, more accurately, explosion. A white surge of magical energy illuminated the room, throwing Rainbow Dash across the room like a fluffy pillow. Her back slammed against the shells of fabric, the impact reverberating across the construct and topping it down on Rainbow Dash. She rolled out of the way in the nick of time, save for a red lock of hair. It tore at her skull, but she managed to free her scalp with a sharp tug. Ouch, she thought, rolling onto her back and panting. It wasn't like the last time. What gives? Her vision was currently shot, completely dark and blind to the world. She repeatedly banked to speed up the recovery. Dizzy, she dragged herself upright and rubbed her eyes, fireworks flashing in her oculars. Sounds echoed in her hearing, but the ringing distorted them to no end, only further disorientating. She slipped the goggles off and left them hanging on her neck. Finally, at last, her vision cleared as the dark fog dissipated from her vision. Rainbow Dash rubbed her sore head, and as she looked to the middle of the room, to the pranked couple, the two, rather than being attached by the lips, merely stood in place, blinking at each other. Alright. Rainbow Dash groaned as she stepped away from the wall and fallen bookcase. She shook her head and completely cleared her vision of any lingering anomalies, noticing the two oblivious mares. She crossed her forelegs and pouted. Hey, what gives, Pinkie? What about the prank? Pinkie Pie blinked. She, still dressed in the green dress Rarity had thrown on her. Without a word, she crouched down and slipped out of it. The dress fell into a neat fold just as Pinkie's mane fell into its straight locks. Okay, I guess the warning goes here. Now, place up the warning. Rainbow Dash widened her eyes. That's not good. Rather than intervene or merely gawk, she took the silent opportunity to reach for the forgotten camera, having fallen just outside the crash readiness of the shelves. Oh, woe to me, the damsel in distress, Rarity cried, bringing a dramatic hoof to her forehead as she collapsed backward onto her drama couch. To be stricken with a forbidden love, paradise lost, star-crossed, doomed! She rolled on her couch, dramatically filling her limbs about as crocodile tears sprayed from her eyes. This is the love that cannot be! Alright, Rainbow Dash crept forward and raised the camera to her eyes. Pinkie Pie lunged forward and took Rarity's hoof in her own, kneeling down on her hind leg. Rainbow Dash took the opportunity to start snapping photos. Rarity, she cried, genuine tears of dramatic apogee clouding her shimmering eyes. Please, we can do this together, like in that one movie where the two fillies from the two families fell in love at first sight and they couldn't be together because Romeo and Juliet. But they did anyway, except we kind of leave out the double click, click, click. Pinkie, Rarity scolded, wiping her eyes dry. Click, I would never want to hurt yourself. I would never want you to hurt yourself. Never for some pony as unworthy as me. You deserve some pony worthy of your grace, your beauty. She sniffed her muzzle. She sniffed her muzzle, completely dampened with misery, rubbing her red, swollen eyes. She continued, to love another man, for that is forbidden love. We cannot be, dear Pinkamena. Click, click, her sniffling ceased. Pinkie's demeanor became grim and serious. Yes, we can, Rarity. I would do anything. Rarity turned... Oh, crap! I learned a little bit ahead. Rarity turned to her side, her hoof still in the grasp of a fabricated lover. Her nose twitched, stuffed anything. Her nose twitched, stuffed. Oh, okay. Anything? But you can't be a stallion. Rainbow Dash stumbled as the entire boutique shook as if a Ursa Major had returned. Pinkie's stern expression never faltered as eyes bore into the windows of Rarity's soul, no doubt casting away all doubt. Anything for you, babe. Click. Slipping her hoof away in surprise, Rarity held both to her muzzle, fanning herself off from Pinkie's deep-voiced bravado. Oh my, Pinkie, what has come over you? Pinkie Pie shrugged as she bent down to pick up the heavy object that fell out of her tail. Sorry about that, about that. My balls dropped, she said as she picked up the bowling balls and placed them in her tail, never to be seen again. Pausing her photograph, Rainbow Dash face hoof. Slowly, Pinkie Pie leaned forward and wrapped her forelegs around Rarity's neck, closing her eyes as her lips pursed together. Her ears tilted back, pressing against her skull as she slightly pressed her mouth against and intertwined her muzzle with Rarity's. This caught Rarity by surprise, evident by a oomph, but the distressed mare closed her eyes as well. Rarity placed the hoof under Pinkie Pie's chin and raised her head, drawing her deeper into the kiss. Rainbow Dash, completely ignored, took the opportunity to start flying about the room for photos from all angles. This is going to be the greatest blackmail ever. Deepening the embrace, Rarity leaned forward and wrapped her forelegs around Pinkie, pulling her up onto the couch on top of her. Wrapping her hind legs around her partner's waist, Rarity hummed as the two embraced, judging by Rainbow's latest camera angle. Kneeling just beside the couch, aiming up. Rarity was apparently skilled with inner working of the kiss. Nice, Rainbow Dash thought as she raised an eyebrow. Didn't know ponies could use their tongues like that. Kinda hot, actually. Rainbow quietly forced her rising wings to stay at her sides, continuing her impish photography. Bang! Carousel's doors slammed open as some pony made their entrance. Rainbow Dash jolted, heavy steps sounding from the door to meet Rarity. Hurriedly hiding the camera inside her dress, pulled as she turned around to see Twilight, Applejack? What are you doing here? The two mares stood in the middle of the room, panting like wild beasts. Twilight's eyes were bloodshot and her mane was sticking out in odd places, as she'd forgotten her week's friendship letter. Applejack fared no better. Twigs and grass stuck out of her unbraided mane, and wild looks shined in her eyes. Their appearance were timberwolves in the shape of pony or mares in season. Alright, Rainbow Dash would have preferred the Timberwolves, a thought she contemplated as she was sent flying in the couple abrupt rush to Rarity. Landing on top of the fallen shelf, Rainbow Dash shifted her rump and got comfortable. Rarity! Rarity! They seamlessly cried like the creepy twins from the movie The Bridal. We need you! Rarity groaned as she slowly pulled away from Pinkie's silky lips, turning her head to glare at the other couple half-heartedly. Her eyes were half-lidded, most likely from the hoof stroking her side than actual aggression. As the gentle caress lowered to her cutie mark, she closed her eyes and purred. Yes. Yes, darling. What can I do for you? I would prefer to return to my lover's embrace, but I can spare a moment. Right, Pinkie Pooh? Ah, God! It's as worse as the stupid spell no, what was the cutie marks used? They used the potion, I think it was. It's worse than the love potion. Pinkie, Rarity asked, turning her head up to look into Pinkie Pie's loving eyes. Pinkie merely smiled and laid down, kissing Rarity on top of the horn. Rarity's cheek turned bright red as her horn shone with a blue ethereal glow as she whinnied. Of course, my rarest rarity. Wait, no, it's of course my rarest rarity. Twilight gave a slight bleat as she watched the horn kissing coring. Applejack too leaned up and wrapped her forelegs round Twilight, only to receive a purring nuzzle against her cheek. Twilight sighed, satisfied, and began. Well, you see, my sugar cube and I, we were going to purchase 2 dresses, maybe a couple of gems for the rings, hopefully by tomorrow, because we're getting married! If I was Rainbow Dash, I would have just been sitting there just been like, oh God, what have I done? Rainbow Dash's wings shot out and her jaw dropped. Without twitching a feather, she slowly lifted the camera to her eyes. I'm getting big bucks for this one. The two clutched one another, their eyes wide as saucers, as they waited for Rarity's response. Rarity's facial expression went through a metamorphosis. Her eyes widened, her brow furrowed. She bit her lip, frowned, and finally nodded. Yes, of course, my darling. It's just one thing must come first. Her ears began to twitch as a certain sound permitted the boutique's walls. Rainbow Dash gulped as she recognized the familiar sound of a Andorite rhythm. Don't tell me she's going to... Pinkie Pie, my lovely darling. Look, a split end! Rainbow Dash gasped. Rarity gasped and turned her head, staring at the curl of the mane in a hasty attempt to fix her appearance. Rainbow Dash took the opportunity to pick up a spool and throw it at her, hitting her head as a distinct noise of a record scratching sounded in the background. Nice! So we can't stop the magic of music. The magic of music has been defeated today. Pinkie Pie grumbled as she banged on her gramophone near the back of the room, somehow moving from the couch in a blink of the eye, with the mood effectively ruined, or it would have been if a couch hadn't fallen underneath Pinkie and swept her hind legs, catching her. Blue energy surrounded the gramophone, sparks flew and gears turned, and the gramophone began playing soothing melodies, bringing Pinkie Pie to her with magic. Rarity trotted towards the magic couch. She turned her head and charged her horn, summoning a small box that zoomed through the air. Rarity quick hoof snapped it up to catch it. She sat her knee, the musical tempo increasing, and held up the box to Pinkie. Rainbow's eyes widened as every pony held their breath. Pinkie Pie, darling, will you marry me? Rarity held a single diamond ring up to Pinkie Pie, sitting on the dramatic couch of intimacy. Pinkie Pie held her hoof to her muzzle, her eyes sparkling with tears. The magical music increased in pitch and rhythm, mirroring Rarity's heartbeat as her chest rapidly rose and fell. Rarity's eyes opened wider and wider, sparkling brighter and brighter with sapphires as she scrunched up her muzzle and held her breath. Silence dominated the room of the music as the music faded. ... Wait, no, quotation, ... quotation. She blinked. Yes! Pinkie Pie cried as she leaped off her couch and embraced her new fiancé as the music rose once again. Unicorn and Earth Pony, mare and mare, the two had become lovers, and quite cuddly as well. The two rolled on the floor, tangling each other's hooves, and ended with Rarity staring down into her lover's eyes below. She lowered her head and brushed her lips against Pinkie's, keeping her touch light as Pinkie Pie giggled underneath. The blue eyes never broke contact, even as Rarity's eyelids drooped in an alluring expression. Rainbow Dash held a hoof to her mouth, resisting the urge to lose it then and there, her lungs burnt with laughter, begging for escape, but it would call unwanted attention to her. Better to maim the masquerade. She returned to incognito photography. As Twilight and Applejack applauded the new couple, stomping on the floor and cheering, Rarity climbed off her level and helped Pinkie Pie to her hooves. The two shared a quick hug, a peck, and finally turned their attention to the other couple in the room. Rarity smiled and absorbed the goodwill, wrapping her full legs around Pinkie Pie's shoulder. Click! Well, now that's settled. We're dearly betrothed as well now, darlings. Tell me again, what can I do for my beloved friends? Rarity pulled Pinkie Pie tighter and nuzzled her, receiving an approving purr. Purring back, she nipped Pinkie Pie's ear before returning her gaze to the blushing Twilight. Applejack, her cheeks red, said, I suppose we should start small. We're going to need 2 dresses, white, obviously. White? Rarity asked, peering at Applejack with narrow eyes. Her eyes flickered up and down, taking in Applejack's fare. Are you absolutely sure you want white? I'm not sure if it'd be appropriate. Her demeanor never faltered, but Twilight let out a gasp. Just what are you implying? Just what are you implying? Applejack said as she puffed out her chest, mirroring Rarity and hugging Twilight close. Her nuzzle came off as force rub against their cheeks, which Twilight accepted with less enthusiasm and a distorted smile. I never loved any pony like Twilight. I never will. She's my sparkling apple, my one and only sparkling apple. Click. If this was more retro time, I would have a recorder with me. I would have, like, a bunch of cameras set up, and then have, like, a couple of, recording cameras just recording this entire thing. And in my mind, I'd be thinking to myself, I'm gonna get paid, I'm gonna get so much money. So I'm going to sell that to every pony. Rarity snorted as she raised her nose. Very well, but that wasn't what I was speaking of in the slightest. Your comment is commendable, but I was merely referring to the lack of luster a white dress would be on you too, darling. White is simply not your color. Applejack turned to Twilight and shared a flushed grin. She turned back to Rarity. I guess you're right. Maybe Applejack, whatever you want. There will be no galosh this time. You will let the fashionista do her work this time, Rarity said, lowering her head to give Applejack a stern glare. Applejack gulped and nodded. Rarity trotted over, Pinkie stealing her hole and examined the couple. Her eyes flickered up and down, examining their unkempt coats. Good, let us begin. Since you two are innocent, after all, your dresses shall be white. Come on! Applejack spat at Rarity, winked at as Rarity winked at Pinky, earning a giggle of approval. Rarity released Pinky and properly circled around the couple, taking in mental measurements. She hummed and muttered to herself, levitating a brush and grooming their unkempt manes and coats to a manageable level. A notebook and glasses flew through the air in her magical grasp, allowing her to take notes and sketch while occasionally adjusting her scarlet glasses. Pinkie Pie crept close like a lioness, stalking her prey, and lunged forward into a cheek-to-cheek nuzzle. Click! Will you stop doing that? Rarity hissed at Rainbow Dash's shutter click. The mare in question hovering above the foursome, gently flapping her wings. Rainbow Dash lowered her camera and grinned, her cheeks flushed. Just as Rarity turned away, cuddling with Pinkie Pie, she sneaked in another picture. Click! Rainbow Dash! God, I love Rainbow Dash. Not really, but in this story. Still got quite a while to read. The hours ticked by, and the sun began to dip low into the sky, like Celestia's fork whenever she ate cake. Rainbow Dash dozed on Rarity's drama couch, only stirring to check up on the four shenanigans. The occasional picture was taken of the four, flirted, gossip, and romance their significant others during Rarity's fitting of the dresses. Scissors, spools, and fabrics floated in the air as the finishing touches began. The last notes of her fashionable song ended with the final stitch ringing in the air and awakening Rainbow Dash from her slumber. Snurk, what happened? Rainbow Dash said as she rolled on her back. But Fluttershy, I don't like it when you touch my wings. Her eyes slithered open as her forelegs hung off the edge of the couch, brushing against the floor. Ears twitching, jaw drooling. She just watched her friends from the sideline. And there we go! Rarity enunciated each word as she finished the last flower in Twilight's laurel. Her belongings floated to the floor, the magic task complete. Apple blossoms for the new lovely apple. She stepped back and admired her work. Thrice were the dresses white, for each maiden was pure. Twilight's dress was accented at the hem with various flowers, a floral plaité, complete with a blossom laurel and veil. Rarity turned and said, and of course, Twilight's dress for Twilight's bride. She giggled in unison with Pinkie Pie, snuggled next to her in her own dress. Applejack's dress was fit to match, but instead of apple blossom, it featured nightshades. Dark hues, purples, and blues dominated the stems of her dress, but the radiance of the pure white preserved Applejack's cheerful smile and bright eyes. I want to know what Applejack looks in a white dress. At last, but not least, my own dear Pinkie, she said, beaming as Pinkie Pie stuttered from her side, showing off her own tacky lollipop-style dress, modeled after the gala dress, minus the hat and the main pink skirt color. The candied dress hung Pinkie Pie's pleasantly plump curves. Never wanted to say that in my life. Rarity's eyes drank in her appearance, tracing the curves of Pinkie's shoulders and back, hungry for more cuddles. She placed a hoof on Pinkie's back and stroked, teasing out the knots in Pinkie's shoulders, receiving a gasp and a purr of approval. Yes, my little sweet pie. Oh, my rara pie. Oh! It's sickening. It burns me to the core. Pinkie Pie giggled as she turned to kiss her lover on the nose. She lowered her head and bumped noses, rubbing them together. I love you so much! Rarity giggled. You're much too sweet for my little Pinky Jim. I love you too. Pinky Jim. Pinky Jim. I can learn to love that one. She pursed her lips and posed her reeling Pinkie Pie's pleasure. She smacked her lips, giving an appearance to what Rainbow Dash would compare to a duck's face. Not even gonna worry about it. I love you more, Sappy. Please don't. No, I love you more, Bakey Julie. Come on, please stop. No more. No, I love you more. I love you, Diamond. Please, no more of those. Thank you, Rainbow Dash. No, Rainbow Dash groaned from her couch, watching the ongoing spectacle of the two Myers grinding their muzzle together. She lifted a hoof to her wide-open jaw and pointed inside. Gag me with a spoon, why don't you? She stuck her tongue out when Rarity shot a glare at her. Not a glare, shot a glare at her. It glared. But soon was ignored as the two continued their banter. Well, Twilight wrapped a I can't talk today. Foreleg around Applejack's shoulder. I suppose you were always my harvest mom. Twilight, no! Applejack warned as she held her hoof in Twilight's mouth. You're more sparkling cider, and that's that. Twilight struggled against the strong who soon to wrath and become putty in. So, in this relationship with Twilight and Applejack, I can just imagine Applejack kind of like the dominant one. In case of like abuse ever happened, Twilight likes to get abused by Applejack. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. So, this marriage isn't gonna... Well, I take that back. This marriage is probably gonna last a very long time. When she was finally released, the two embraced and wrapped their tails together. How does one control their tail? No, how does one how does one control fur? Isn't ponies' tails fur? How do they control that? Is it just like a tiny muscle back there? Applejack, it's a show. It's a show. Calm down, Marco. Applejack nodded towards Rarity. Just give us a moment, will you? We ought to buy some nice rings for these dresses. Then we'll happily purchase the wares. Rarity nodded to the two and helped them out of their dresses. Neatly folded the fabric and placed the dresses on the table. She huffed and wrapped her tails around Pinkie Pie's. Wrapped her tail around Pinkie Pie. The corkscrew shape perfectly encasing the pink fluffy tail as they watched the other couple exit the boutique. Applejack and Twilight gave a quick wave before shutting the door behind them. As soon as they were left alone, Pinkie glumped Rarity and the two snuggled close. Rainbow Dash stared, then rubbed her eyes as the little red heart seemed to float out from Pinkie's mane. She looked again, still there. Pinkie being... Pinkie? She rubbed her eyes again. Okay, maybe this has gone on long enough. Certainly got enough evidence, she thought with a little chuckle. She rolled off the couch and onto the floor, then reached through her collar for her goggles. The bronze rims felt warm to her hose as she slid them up her neck and onto her forehead, adjusted the straps as necessary. Without a hitch, they snapped into place. Her vision turned red. Rainbow Dash could see. She instinctively braced herself, bending her forelegs and crouching down, ready to launch. Her vision faded to normal, revealing one ethereal ribbon connected the couple. The velvety ribbon, the shining ribbon. She scanned the room, searching for the right tool among the piles of fabulous junk on the floor. She took into the air, thankfully ignored by the intimate couple, and circled the room. A waning sunbeam through a window reflected off something on the floor, momentarily blinding Rainbow Dash as the light struck her iris. She squinted and descended after the shining object. 'Cause women love shiny stuff. Rainbow Dash lifted the cut fabric off the hidden tool, revealing a pair of scissors. Smirking, she picked them up with her teeth and turned back to the couples huddling in the middle of the room. Taking off in the air once more, she flew just above them. So, why didn't you think about doing this with Applejack and Twilight? I mean, are you just going to leave them like that? Rainbow Dash lifted the cut. Oh, whoops. Taking off the air once more, and she just flew. Taking off into the air once more, she flew just above them. Biting her lips in concentration, sweat beading off her forehead, mental calculations ensued in Rainbow Dash. She lifted a hoof to the scissors into her hooves. She lifted a hoof to the scissor into her hooves and gave them a practice snip. Whatever. Sentences make sense to me. One possibility had her diving onto the ribbons and getting them in one go, or just floating down and just cutting them in more pragmatic manner, the awesome way or the boring way. The answer was obvious. She puffed out her chest and raised her shoulder, just to drop down and grab a ribbon. Safety first, she chuckled to herself and wrapped her legs around Rarity and Pinkie's shared ribbon. The ethereal velvet immediately shuddered and began to roll in waves, trying to wrangle itself out of Rainbow Dash's grip. Her legs were not secured yet, otherwise she would fly off as she freed a hoof to operate the scissors. Considering the quick reaction, her touch, she mused that if she had gone in head first, the ribbons would have smacked the scissors right into her eyes. Mom was right. Flying with scissors is a bad idea. But I could see she took the safe route. The ribbon continued to roll in frenzy, bucking like a little cattle. The ribbon continued to roll in frenzy, bucking like a cattle caught in Applejack's lasso. Rainbow Dash was thrown in the air above the oblivious group. What is with them as she struggled to end their enchanted romance? One foreleg clutched the ribbon in an iron grip despite its frantic rolling, and her hoof held onto her other shoulder for support. She lifted the other one, folding her grip secure, and leaned down with the scissors. Her teeth clinged to the plastic, mouth salivating, holding on to the scissors for all she was worth, as the world blurred around her in the ribbon's desperation. Snip! Rainbow Dash's eyes grew, her heart pounding in excitement, as the ribbon was completely unaffected. She narrowed her eyes and grunted before trying again. Snip, snip! She stared at the stubborn ribbon, holding in a bubbling urge to shout and lash at it. Darling, what are you doing? Rarity asked, holding Pinkie Pie and shivering. Rainbow Dash paused from her work and looked down at her. The ribbon column seemingly warmed out. The couple underneath appeared sickly pale and entangled in each other's arms as they were cold. Rainbow Dash gave a mental shrug and returned to her task. Snip, 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 snip. Oh, wait. I think I'm starting to get it. Maybe. Snip, 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 snip. Ah, still nothing, Rainbow Dash growled as she shook her head in an attempt to slice through the ribbon. Through the stubborn threads, her eyes traveled down the ribbon to the sickly girls underneath. To the base protruding from the chest, it was wider in length, yes, but the ribbon seemed thinner and more tethered. Her eyes widened. Perfect! She adjusted the scissors in his mouth and released the ribbon, flying away from the small group. The two huddling girls watched her with wary eyes, wondering what sorcery could affect them so. Rainbow Dash sucked on her hoof to wet it, lifted to the air, and made a quick mental calculation before diving at Rarity. Oof! Rainbow Dash tackled Rarity, began assaulting her chest with scissors, aiming for the sweet spot. Rarity attempted to bat her off as she caught her breath, following her forelegs, trying to punch Rainbow Dash off. A hoof managed to strike her muzzle, but Rainbow Dash didn't even squeak as she shrugged off the weak blow. Pinkie Pie tried tugging her off, but wings beat her away as Rainbow Dash became frantic with the scissors. The ribbon was stubborn as Applejack wrestling a timber wolf. Come on! Rainbow Dash growled as the scissors began to crack with repeated use. Her thighs squeezed tight, straddling Rarity in death grip. Just cut already! What are you doing? Get off me! Rarity cried as her voice cracked. It hurts! Grunting, Rainbow Dash tossed aside the bent pair of scissors, resolving to get some sharper. For now, damage control. She climbed off Rarity, allowing Pinkie to help her to her hooves and caress her disheveled mane. Rarity dug her muzzle into Rarity's shoulders, letting out a tiny whimper. Pinkie Pie glared and said, Rainbow Dash, you big bully! Why did you do to my sappy She wrapped her... I'm not even going to read those anymore. She wrapped her forelegs around the sobbing Rarity and held her close. Rainbow Dash rubbed her throbbing temples, pondering how long it'd be before her headache settled. The ribbon waved in the air, seemingly weakened by the assault, but never breaking. Rainbow Dash stared at it and sighed. Guys, it isn't as bad as you think. It isn't bad? It isn't bad? You assaulted me like some unbridled bandit, you brute! Rarity spat as she tried to dart forward, held back by Pinkie Pie's hoof, as her horn charged with angry magic. Unfortunately, she tripped up on a forgotten fabric, only to be cut by Pinkie Pie. Oh, how sweet! She swooned in Pinkie Pie's embrace before returning to scowling at Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash rolled her eyes. Seriously, guys, you're not even in love. What? The two embracing ponies screamed, glaring at Rainbow Dash with heart-bedazzled daggers. What equestria do that mean? Who are you two? Whoa, 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 Rainbow Dash said as she took a step back. Whoa, 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 let me just take a quick back... Glaring at Rainbow Dash with heart-bedazzled... off by their synchronization. Look, I pulled a prank on you guys, just was trying to fix it, that's all. Rarity scoffed. Fix it? Like diving at me with a pair of scissors trying to cut me out of the blue? What were you thinking? Yeah, Dashy, didn't your mommy tell you it's not good to fly with scissors and hurt innocent ponies? Pinkie Pie hugged Rarity, her eyes narrow and cautious. No pony hurts my marshmallow. I am perfectly fine with that one. Marshmallow? How am I a marshmallow? Rarity whined, sniffling for effects. Because you're all squishy and fluffy. Fluffy? Darling, I'm comfortably toned. Whatever you say, Rara. I'm okay with that one, too. Guys, we kinda have a situation here. Rainbow Dash flailed her legs in the air, flapping her wings in desperation for attention. Sorry, darling, Rarity said before pecking Pinkie Pie on the nose. I was distracted by Pinkie's, charm. Yeah, right, Rainbow Dash rolled her eyes and floated to the ground. Since when have you been distracted by Pinkie's charm? All you do is moan and complain when she spills crumbs on your dresses. She focused eye contact with Rarity. Pinkie Pie was distracted and sniffing Rarity's mane. And I thought you found her, how'd you say, filthy? Pinkie Pie gasped and jumped away from Rarity, her jaw dropped in shock. Rarity, on the other hand, flicked her mane and growled. Rainbow Dash couldn't believe her eyes. Rarity growled. Filthy? I would never say such a thing. Rarity growled. That's stuck in my mind now. Rarity said as she coaxed Pinkie Pie back to her side. She's beautiful, joyful, and always brings... I don't know about that. And always makes me... Oh, wow, that sentence. It's so misplaced. And always makes me smile as a stressed Ooh, I can't read that sentence. As a stressed fashionista, I couldn't ask for anything more. She's perfect, perfect, perfect. Yeah, here's the perfect couple, alright, with magic as your matchmaker. You're right, it is magical, Rarity said, staring into Pinkie's eyes. Rainbow Dash stomped her hoof to bring her back to attention. Sorry, darling, I was too distracted by true love to notice your barbaric attempt to steal my lover. You're right. Oh, whoops. Rainbow Dash snickered. Steal your lover? As if you don't know anything about love, Rarity. All you do is chase random stallions that turn out to be total jerks. You're total sap. All I did was use a bit of magic, and now you're head over heels for Pinkie. Rarity bit her lips, her horns sparking blue folds. Do I not know about love? You're the fool, Rainbow Dash. You dare lecture me on love while you... Things are gonna get a bit heated now. You dare lecture me on love while all you've been doing for the past 10 years is stringing Fluttershy along? What? Rainbow Dash stepped back, holding a hesitant hoof in the air. What does Fluttershy have to do with this? I haven't been quiet, Rainbow Dash. Rarity lowered her head and whispered into Pinkie's ear. She nodded and left Rarity's embrace, zooming past Rainbow Dash towards the front door in an abrupt blur. Rainbow Dash shook her head and returned her gaze to Rarity, who was walking to her. Rainbow Dash held her head up, equally indigent as Rarity's nose came within half lengths of hers. Stringing along? Why would I ever do that? Fluttershy and I were, well, best friends. Best friends don't lie to each other, Rainbow Dash. Rarity glowered, her voice dropping to a near whisper. She talks to me at the spa, you know. She tells me everything, from the false promises you make to spend time with her, to the lies you spin. Every little lie. She pressed her nose against Rainbow Dash's, forcing her to step backward as Rarity passed on. For a reason unbeknownst to her, Rainbow Dash's forehead began sweating. I don't really know what you're talking about. Fluttershy and her cool, I swear. Oh, really? Rarity crept closer until Rainbow Dash's tail brushed against the mirror. How about the great butterfly migration? Fluttershy told me you were bored out of your mind. What's wrong with that? Butterflies are a thing. You obviously don't know, do you? Rarity backed away and turned her back to Rainbow Dash, beginning to pace with a sway to her hips. Do you notice when she blushes around you? She's just shy. That's her thing. Flutter shy. She does that around every pony. Oh, and I'm sure that the constant boasting and cuddling justifies that. Rarity shot a glance at Rainbow Dash, scratching her back in a vampish manner. I want to suck your love. I never saw her blush around Thunderlane, or even Snowflake, or any stallion for that matter. What are you talking about? Rainbow Dash flushed, her feathers bristling and cheeks burning. Are you saying Fluttershy? Yes, of course I'm saying that. Can you get that through your thick skull? No wonder you drive the poor Fluttershy to tears, you uneducated dimwit. Hey now, you're a rock star. No reason to be all mean. Rainbow Dash covered her wheel drain. Oh, Rainbow Dash cowered, her wheel drained. Her mind whirred for a retort, but none came. It wasn't her fault she could be a bit dim, even if the ramifications of Rarity words hadn't quite clicked yet. Rarity sighed and bowed her head, turning around. She stepped forward and rested a hoof on Rainbow Dash's shoulder. They stared into each other's eyes, any hint of malice weathering away into melancholy. Rainbow Dash. I don't mean to be mean, Rarity whispered, but I love Pinkie Pie, and nothing will change that. We're going to marry nothing, and nothing will stop me. It sounds like a villain. Rarity sounds like a villain. Rainbow Dash's eyes dilated as her ears fell. Every word rang true, without hint of uncertainty. Like she couldn't figure out how to undo the magic ribbons. Rarity's prophecy would come true. Deep in thought, her gaze fell to the floor. Sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. Rarity lifted Rainbow Dash's chin, bringing her eyes to the mesmerizing sapphire. Of course not. You just lost your head. I hope you make it to the wedding tomorrow. The door slammed shut, footsteps echoed in the vast chambers of the boutiques. Oh, that's my chair. Hey, who's getting married? Spike asked the approached duo, biting into the diamond. I hope it's not like Shining. The wedding came out of nowhere. Rainbow Dash blinked. Oh no, this isn't good. Oh, hello. Hello, Spiky Wakey. I'm getting married to Pinkie Pie tomorrow. Rarity beamed as Spike, her conversation with Rainbow Dash forgotten. Rainbow Dash could only gawk at her audacity. Does she really not know? What? Spike deadpan, smiling as if Rarity was telling a joke. Rather, she fluttered her eyelashes and smiled down at him. Spiky, I'm getting married, she said, her voice wavering. Her tone had become dull, and her words forced. Even the smile had the appearance of plastic. Married. Spike's eyes sparkled with water in her arm. Spike's eyes sparkled with water as his arm dropped to his side. The half-eaten diamond fell out of his claw and rolled to his feet, forgotten. What? The author's note continues with the story. What? Spike screamed as he bolted in an upright position, sweating heavily as he panted. He scanned his surroundings, relaxing as he took in a familiar sight of the library. He patted the bed sheets underneath him, wondering why his basket was so comfortable. Some pony groaned. Spike, darling, are you having nightmares again? Spike barely managed to choke down a scream as he recognized the voice of his one true love. Rarity, what are you doing in the library? Duh, she's your wife, Twilight grumbled as she lifted her head from underneath the collar. Neatly wrapped like a pony burrito. What? Spike turned. Oh, so now he's dreaming. Spike tried to back away from the two, but his legs were pinned by weight. One mumbled something about Wonderbolt in her sleep, and the others about Apple. Since when did I marry in Pony? Since last summer, when you married all of us. What? Yeah, that's what I said. His little weight jumped onto her back. And you should see the kids all dusting them. No! Spike roared as he milked the invisible cow in the sky. Spike bolted from his basket, sweating with a fever. He gasped and wiped his forehead before laying back down. Man, I need to lay out those magazines Discord keeps sending me. Jeez. What is Discord giving Spike? Oh, well, that was something. So, that was the next chapter of that. My phone went off. Well, that was the next chapter of that. I hope you guys enjoyed that, reading. Alright, so, if you liked it, I'll continue when the next chapter come out. And, I don't know. I guess there's nothing really much to be said right now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully. Join the Wolf Army.